All right. Now, speaking of nonsense,
let's get to the nonsense.
There was a Death Stranding movie that was
a short film.
Don't act like this is surprising.
9 minutes.
He's been doing this for 20 years.
It was long. It was like 7 minutes.
The old Metal Gear trailers were like long. I've seen them all like 100 times. I'm not even exaggerating.
I knew this was going to be long, and when I saw the time code, I still cackled. Like, it was just still like, oh, fuck it, of course.
There's one part where I had to pause the video to cackle, and I think several of us might have had that same reaction.
There's a few of those moments.
So there was a Death Stranding reveal, which kind of dropped out of nowhere, it feels like. It's kind of a surprise.
They've been teasing it for like a week or so, I think,
really?
at least, yeah.
They did a weird stream thing that was covered up by hands, and then...
Yeah, there's a lot of... It's art.
This started to leak out a little bit.
Should I read the statement that was put out alongside of this?
Give it to me.
Okay, here we go. Here's Kojima's vision. People have created quote-unquote walls.
Uh-huh.
It's a little on the nose there. I'm pointing out the obvious. But
his name is Bridges.
Tell me about the walls.
And become accustomed to living in isolation, and have I'm going to editorialize here, and have become accustomed to living in isolation. Death Stranding is a completely new type of action game where the goal of the player is to reconnect isolated cities and a fragmented society. It is created so that all elements, including the story and gameplay, are bound together by the theme of the strand or connection. As Sam Porter Bridges...
You get it? Do you get it?
Do you get it? No, let me continue, because I didn't get it, but let me continue. You will attempt to bridge the divides in society. Greatest storyteller over time. And in doing, create new bonds or strands with James Bondsman. Sorry, no, it doesn't say that. I said that. With other players around the globe. Through your experience playing the game, I hope you'll continue to understand the true importance of forging connections with others.
Well, look, that, wasn't that a big part of like PT also, where it was like bringing the community together to solve a thing? That was a thing, right?
Yeah.
We'll give him credit for that.
Sure.
But PT was also like a 2-hour-long experience.
Oh, God,
we don't know
that's
that
the length
this
of one
isn't-
cutscene of Death
We also
Stranding,
don't
I'm
know
sure.
that this is also a 2-hour-long experience.
Oh, it's
Wow.
going to be a 34-hour-long movie experience.
We don't know.
Yes.
So this was pretty long. It showed things like
The cast, for instance.
Well, the cast, a very, very deep cast. Mads Mikkelsen,
New characters.
Lindsay
new
Wagner,
character.
Troy Baker. I guess Troy Baker was he announced?
He was
it?
not announced either, and
Well,
Nicholas...
no, he was. There was a very brief
didn't know
trailer
that.
of the weird gold face guy, and they announced Troy Baker that way. It was like a short little
he's
thing.
Goldface guy?
I think that was the
Higgs?
trailer where they announced
I
him.
think
Yeah,
so.
Higgs, yeah.
So Nicholas Winding Refn is new.
Okay.
He's Heartman.
The director of Drive, and I
Bronson.
think- and Valhalla Rising, the Mads Mikkelsen movie.
Oh, that's cool.
So once again, Kojima straight up is just like, look how cool my friends are. I'm putting them in my video.
That
game.
is very true.
Drinking.
And then there's Die Hardman.
Yes. Who is Die Hardman?
That is Die Hardman.
I forget the actor's name.
He's playing himself.
I think he was the one actor I didn't recognize.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in this.
For instance, there are the women characters, Fragile and Mama. It's Kojima. There's also Amelie, who is the Lindsay Wagner from 30 years ago.
There's Cliff. There's Mads, Fragile, the Mama.
What's the baby called?
Baby.
Deadman, which is Guillermo del Toro.
Okay.
Hartman, which is
Nicholas Winding
Refn. There is Die Hardman, who is, hold on a second, Tommy Earl Jenkins.
Okay.
He's got a mask.
So would you rather to be Fragile or Die Hardman?
I like
Die Hard
the Hardman.
Die Hardman.
Troy Baker Riggs, right? Higgs?
Yes, Higgs.
He takes off the gold mask to
reveal
show
another
another like
mask.
scorpion mask underneath.
Yeah.
God.
Die Hard Man has a talking skull mask.
As far as I can tell, it's a stealth game, which is fine. That's certainly what Kojima makes. There's a lot of baby stuff.
There's blood crying. There's a lake on fire with Terminator demon Vietnam guy.
Well, he's stealthing at a part.
There's dirty Mads. There is oily Mads. There is bound Mads.
Dancing
There's
on
punished
fire
Mads.
Dancing Mads was
Baby
the toughest.
Mads.
We don't know yet.
There could be a Baby Mads. There's a hint that maybe this game goes to the moon.
There's
there are space suits.
There's the president of Jack Shit.
What?
Jack
There's
Shit.
terrorists that create like demon flare-ups.
Oh, you mean the homo demons?
Yeah, the
I
homo demons.
honestly
That's what
can't
the
tell.
team
Is that what it was? I thought it was
They're called homo
mishearing
demons.
that.
Is this
all
real?
real.
I like
All of this is
This
real.
is all real.
half watched the trailer. This is all in the trailer.
I watched it
This
like
is all
3
in there.
times
I
today.
don't like this at all.
It's
It
beautiful
feels
and
like
perfect.
a joke, and I don't like
It does feel like a joke. I showed it to my wife last night at midnight, and she was just like, "What have you done to me before I slumber?"
There is also a ladder which you take out of your pocket. Big ladder you can take out of your pocket to climb
Extendo
stuff.
ladder.
There's like a rope.
There's a briefcase you hit people
He's
with.
carrying so much.
His briefcase gets knocked out of his hand, and he has to get his briefcase.
Wait.
And hit people with it.
If you
He's a
notice,
motorcycle.
Yeah,
The halibut.
The wheelie, of course.
The briefcase gets
Wheelie
knocked
man.
off,
Oh.
and then there's like a ghost image of where the briefcase was.
Yeah, and
Did
it
you see
glows.
that?
It's now the United Cities of America, and the president's in a wheelchair, and
You're
she's
the president,
dying.
you're the president of Jack Shit.
President of Jack Shit. Yeah.
That can't be real. That can't be real. It's a ruse. It can't be real.
And then,
Oh, you haven't played Metal Gear.
Oh, it's real.
And then,
I'm upset. How
Spectacular.
is PT so good and so?
PT is the thing he has been involved with that I am the least interested in. I think
I-
PT's all right.
Oh, that's
It's
wild.
interesting, but Metal Gear is the most perfect thing
It's
entertainment
because he
ever
didn't
created.
get to name anything in PT. That's the problem.
Nothing
good at naming things. Yes.
sounds coherent in this game.
Yeah, but that's
Nothing
kinda why I love
sounds
it.
No Metal
like
Gear
I am
trailer.
on board with this. I want a weird art game.
Yeah.
But I want a weird art game that's not weird for the sake of being weird.
That's the
I'll say
beauty of
this.
Metal Gear and Kojima is that, yes, on the surface, Metal Gear is extremely weird, but it does all actually, like, things don't just exist in Metal Gear for no reason. Like, they all the story threads get tied up in 4. It's crazy as hell, but it all
Okay,
makes
so
sense.
How
you're
about
being
this?
outnumbered on this one.
Dan,
Can
look,
I-
Dan, you're great. Hold
I-
on.
Ask me
can
one
I-
question about Metal Gear.
Can I
Where
offer?
does it-
Everybody
Wait,
wants
what?
to object to Dan right
Can
now.
I offer a slightly more measured take?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's all do our measure.
A lot of the ridiculousness in Kojima games is rooted in a deep, abiding sense of irony. At the same time, that makes it no less fucking stupid on its surface.
It is
Okay.
severely up its own ass, but also his style is super goofy and dumb and funny.
Okay,
frequently.
interesting. I think
Yeah.
I have to readjust my expectations from PT, which I think is
Yes.
pretty sincere. I think it is unusual in some ways, but I think it works for the horror aesthetic. I think it works for how you put together that story. You have to come to the pieces on your own, but they all make sense in the end, right?
Yeah. Right.
And like there are some ends you got to kind of tie yourself to get them not loose. But I'm going into this knowing it maybe has a sense of humor and also knowing it's not going to make any fucking sense.
No, that's the thing that you're wrong about because you talked about PT.
Don't make it.
Hang on.
Don't make any claims.
We haven't
you
played
can't.
it yet. I don't know if I'm wrong
But
about
you're saying
that.
how like PT has all these things that kind of tie together at the end and everything. Imagine that, but if it was told over the span of like when was the MSX Metal Gear, like 1987 or something?
Okay, but that
all
sounds
the way to 5,
like
and
a
it
nightmare
all...
to me that I have to play a game for what 20 years to.
Oh, I played Metal Gear Solid 2 probably like 4 times in its entirety before I understood what
that
the fuck was happening at the end
sounds
of it.
terrible.
It's beautiful.
I'm
and
okay
perfect.
with that in a
This still
2-hour
feels
game,
different, though.
but that sounds.
It
Yeah,
does.
I am on board with Death Stranding. I appreciate it's going to be weird. I'm just saying I need to adjust my expectations from PT, which I think is a masterpiece.
But you
I
also,
would not-
here's the thing.
Okay.
PT was never intended to be a whole experience.
No, absolutely.
PT was a tease for a Silent Hills game that I'm going to tell you right now would have been 10 times as batshit as probably any of the things going on that we're seeing.
I think
Yeah.
if that game had come out.
It's because of the self-contained nature of that thing that I think he was not able to unleash the full fury of his silliness.
Dan, it is amazing to me that you say you played Metal Gear 2 10 times before you understood it, and then told me you're so glad Kojima doesn't put politics into his games.
Yeah, that's bizarre. As
I didn't
hell.
say I'm so glad he doesn't. I said I
Okay.
didn't know he did.
Which-
God.
Thank you.
worse.
Well, no, I know
You said you played it 10 times,
I
and you
know
were like,
politics are
I
involved with
get it.
nukes and governments and stuff, but I never thought of Metal Gear Solid as a political series at all. I
That's
think it was
crazy.
an anti-nuclear series. It's about
have to
soldiers.
go.
It's
I
about
have to
soldiers
go.
and
I'm
nukes.
sorry.
It's not about politics.
This reminds me of a tweet I read.
It's about
recently
war. It's not about
self-awareness. You know what, Dan?
What's the difference?
And the internet. It's about the internet.
The
and
White
memes.
House literally has ghosts in the wall going lolly lolly.
Well, no, it's not literal. The Patriots are not literal ghosts in the walls of the White House.
The president is in.
Wow,
is
I
in-
love
the
seeing
president of the
Dan
Dr. Octopus
ruin
suit.
this podcast from the inside out.
So
no, you're taking it.
No, he is a political figure. He's the president.
Well, of course,
they're going to take over. That's how governments get taken over.
No, Solidus was against the Patriots. The Patriots weren't politics. The Patriots were crazy internet people.
Dan, the thing that makes this most galling is not the idea that you could look at a game that certainly has politics and say like, oh, I didn't see that, I didn't read it. It's that you somehow managed to do that in the one game designer who straight up says, yes, I have politics. He's the only one who doesn't say, wait, there's no politics in my games. Like, he's literally the one that embraces that.
I will
clarify. Whether you agree with them or not, whether you think they're good or not, at least he's not trying to shy away from this notion that he has political beliefs and they are represented in these video games.
Let me clarify.
It is so blatantly obvious.
No, let me clarify. I understand politics are involved in that. Yes, several presidents are characters in the Metal Gear universe. There are real countries like the USA and Russia and China and their governments that are involved, and there are nuclear things and relations between countries. I'm sure politics are, obviously tied up with how countries talk to each other. But I always saw Metal Gear as it was more about nuclear stuff and war and soldiers and genetics.
Yes.
I know, but not in the way of like, we built a wall or whatever.
I just don't think you understand what we're saying.
I guess I don't.
So when Kojima says people have created walls,
I see what you're saying, because there's a whole wall thing going on now in politics and the real world, but I didn't put that together when I read that.
The great irony, of course, you saying how you understand the story so well front to back.
Ask me any question about the world of Metal Gear Solid.
You say, how does the bee guy get the bees?
You say
okay.
No.
It was pheromones.
What's the sorrow again?
Pheromones and nanos.
Stop. I want to go back to Abby's point.
Okay.
PT, I agree with you. PT's great.
Well, he saw horrible things in space.
Shut up, you two. PT was great. I would argue PT's the most lucid thing that's ever come out.
So I think. I'm talking now, Dan, and then you can talk.
Okay.
Back to how much I like PC.
Yeah, okay.
PT, whatever. For me right now, I think I have to realize that PT, because of its nature of being a trailer, was probably highly edited in a way that I think I like. I think I would probably appreciate his work more if it was as edited. Granted, I haven't played much of his other stuff. I'm going into Death Stranding with an open mind. Sure. I love weird art. I hope this is a fucking high art game. We don't have enough of them, and I'm down for it. I am down for it. But also, I think maybe he could use someone to edit his insane.
Hang on. About PT. While we're talking about PT,
we're having a conversation. Okay.
I want to talk about a PT thing. Okay,
Christ.
Abby, so you keep bringing up PT, and I think the thing is you need
Jeff brought it up there, but yes.
No, but I know you obviously like PT a lot.
Yes, very much so.
I don't know if I would equate PT with Kojima stuff. He was definitely involved with PT, but I remember when it was first presented, it was like, Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima and stuff like this. I don't see PT as a Kojima thing. He was involved, yes, but when I think Kojima, I think Metal Gear Solid. I think Boktai, The Sun Is in Your Hand, but mainly Metal Gear. Snatcher.
Has it ever occurred to you that maybe you just should?
I mean, sure, Hideo Kojima was involved, but I don't think I would not put any expectations on his work based on PT, because it seemed like more people were involved there, whereas Death Stranding is Kojima unleashed. Like, this is his thing, and he's got $1 million. Well, way more than that.
I agree with you. I think PT feels like the exception.
$1 million.
Okay.
And Abby, and I agree with you. I think if Silent Hills did come to fruition, I think it would have been a much more grounded thing, perhaps.
Great.
People would be ruining his vision.
No, because I don't know. Maybe Guillermo del Toro's involvement would have perhaps reeled him in a little bit.
I'm sure he's a good filmmaker.
Or the opposite, but who knows? We can only wonder and, be...
I am excited for it, genuinely so. I want to play it. I don't think I've really played many weirdo high art video games that aren't like weird little indie things like Playable's Kids. Remember talking about that 5 years ago?
I'm not trying to make a case here, but let's call it Death Stranding high art.
Okay, I guess maybe avant-garde.
I mean, it's gonna be high, all right.
Just
a little outside the box. That is more what I'm talking about.
Non-traditional.
Non-traditional, avant-garde, couture. It's not couture, but
no.
Look, I've been talking about Bjork for 4 weeks. Okay. Anyway,
this is the Bjork of video games right here.
Well, how dare you?
No, it's great.
It looks interesting. The trailer looks interesting.
I'm curious about it. The more I hear about it,
different, right?
It seems nuts.
It looks like I'm more excited about this than I would be if he was making a new Metal Gear Solid game.
Okay.
because that story has been told from every different angle.
I have no interest in Metal Gear.
Don't start making sense now, okay?
No, we don't need to fill in any more gaps about here's when Big Boss ate a sandwich in 1978.
Don't try and walk it back, okay?
No, honestly, I think this is way more interesting. Him unleashed with no one saying no to him, and he has infinite money is the best case scenario.
Yeah, I'm going to go into it with a good sense of humor.
It will have very funny
that
things.
Is the way to go.
I'm sure it'll be very funny.
It is
going to be a trip.
Yeah, it is. Showing Stacey it, and she had seen the other trailers, which are so much. I mean, this is by comparison a very lucid almost kind of thing. I feel like I know a lot more now, right? I mean, that's obvious.
We know it's set in the real world.
It's one of those things where I feel like I know a lot more, but it presents more questions than answers.
It does, but I also kind of have a vibe of what's going on.
Why? What's the bridge baby? Why are there World War I tanks?
It just
why
seems
is
like
Mads Mikkelsen trapped
something's going on where
apocalypse now?
Why did he light a cigarette in the sky? Why is he blue at one point?
Yeah,
it also the babies are the future, right? And he's gonna bring them to the bridge place.
The future?
The baby can go to the moon.
I think so.
Also, just became much more complex.
They're just sending a bunch of fetuses to the moon. What's the problem?
Look.
What's the fucking problem,
Here's
you
what
guys?
it boils down to.
What?
We can sit here, we can speculate, we can try
fun.
and pick these various details apart. The point is, we're all going to fucking play the thing.
Yeah,
Alex
no,
is
I've
broken.
said it 5 times. I'm excited for it.
And guess what? We're going to get to on November 8th, because that's the one thing we didn't actually get to, is that they actually announced a release date for this thing.
Which is very
Death Stranding
surprising.
is the game we're talking about, by the way.
And it's got a collector's edition with a weird
it's got
baby
a
in it.
Oh
Chloe
my
baby.
goodness! Yeah, it's him holding an unborn baby is weird. The pictures of him. Have you seen the pictures of?
Oh, I've
They're
seen
good.
them.
Yeah.
They are. And that's the kind of, I feel like, the sense of humor he has of I feel like he walks away and is like, he knows that that this is all ridiculous. Right?
Okay, that's okay.
Yes.
Good to know.
Yeah.
This has been a good conversation for me. This has been good. I'm going in with a sense of humor. My perspective is shifted.
Makes
PT
one of
is
us.
still a masterpiece, and I think he sometimes needs an editor, from what it sounds like.
Do you have any questions about Metal Gear Solid?
I want to know nothing about Metal Gear, but thank you.
I think what he needs is a psychiatrist to help him with his mom stuff, because boy, there are some weird
really?
mom complex shit.
I'm trying to think in Metal Gear what mom stuff was there. Otacon's
There's
mom
a lot
was
of
dead,
there's a
right?
lot of weird stuff with women characters in that series, like
Was
Big
there
Boss
mom stuff. Oh, Big Mama Eva.
Yeah,
There wasn't a
I
whole
think
lot
he's
of
got a
mom.
lot of
the
problems.
boss. The
I
boss.
would say Kojima's got a lot of issues. You could psychoanalyze from those games with a lot of different things.
yes, it's not just one thing or another.
No.
But that said,
He hates nukes.
He's also literally named a character in this game Mama.
Huh.
Like
And
one of the main
Die Hard
characters
Man.
is named
Alex, he's
Mama.
named a character Hardman. What is
Heartman. He's not a Mega Man villain. He's Heartman.
Sorry.
And there's Die Hard Man.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Hard
sorry.
Man.
There's there's Heartman, there's Die Hard Man, and then there's Fragile and Mama.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a
And Sam Briggs Reedus or whatever.
Bridges,
yeah.
I don't know.
Why has everyone got to smoke, though?
That's been a thing. That was an
Really?
item.
It's
yeah.
how you see
Going
the
back to
laser.
first
It's how you see the
Metal Gear.
lasers. It's how you're gonna.
Yeah,
know
it's
if
true.
you're-
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of the many
Smoke.
fetishes that he is projecting onto Mads Mikkelsen.
The Terminator
Smoke.
Vietnam demons, those look awesome. The legs
Yeah,
on
that look
fire.
cool. Yeah, it looks cool. I don't know why you light the fire before you walk through it, but whatever.
Yeah, it's just all.
Why is Rick crying?
bad stuff's happening in this
It's not a
world.
happy
There's
time.
probably nukes.
It's not a happy time.
Well, he hates nukes. He got rid of him.
Anyway, I'm just glad
I'm
he's not
stoked.
going political.
Yeah.
I'm stoked. I'm
I
more
don't think
stoked.
it is
You know what? I'm
Oh
more
my
stoked
God.
now than I was when I saw that weird, beach shit. I mean, I know the beach stuff is a thing.
Oh, I was
with the
way
weird
more on board
floating
with that.
Things.
Yeah, but the imagery of that I dug. But again, it was sort of like, oh, I'm lost. But now I feel good. I mean,
yeah.
I was always going to play this.
Really?
goddamn
I hope
thing,
this
but-
plays okay.
Yeah.
I'm
me
interested
too.
in the movie,
Totally.
the Death Stranding movie.
Yeah.
I just hope in between that, there's fun stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely shocked that it's coming out this year.
Yeah, I really thought they'd push it to next gen consoles.
If a week ago, if you asked me, I would have bet a lot of money about next year.
I look forward to playing the remastered version on a PS5 someday.
Okay.
in
I think it looked-
2021.
All these
25%
cutscenes
more
look good.
Reedus.
More crying. The hard man is even harder.
I'm so excited.
What a video game. I haven't even touched it
It
yet.
is easily the most excited I've been about a
5
video
months,
game in
Dan. Can
years.
you wait?
Yes. I thought I was going to have to wait longer. So
I can't believe 5 months. That's unbelievable.
It's refreshing that there's an unknown quantity
Yeah.
floating around out there, and I feel like the more I see of this, the more it doesn't feel like a traditional by the numbers anything.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to
Totally.
me.
Which is going to be a real bummer when we find out it's an extremely by the numbers third person action game.
Third person cover shooter.
Yeah.
With the ladder.
It's wild. The fact that this is coming out before I mean, I assume before The Last of Us 2 is pretty wild.
Yeah, I'm not getting the vibe that Last of Us 2 or Ghost of Tsushima are coming anytime in the immediate future.
I want Last of Us 2 real bad.
I feel like we'll see those early next year.
That's just I think that's the rumor, and I would tend to lean in that direction as well.
And Animal Crossing's this year?
That's all politics.
As far as we know.
Animal Crossing.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's a very political game, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The slider.
That's why I like it.
You listen to his song.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
He got pulled from YouTube.
Anti-Vietnam rags going on.
I mean, it's much more of like a local politic, but yeah.
Right. Neighborhood, city level,
Yeah.
I think we did a real bad job with that. So.
I just want to talk about Metal Gear more.
Okay.
Do you? Yes.
No, you don't.
I'm pretty sure everyone in the office is not going to get weird at me for yelling anymore. It's all you guys.
Motherfucker, you've done like 7 seasons of series just talking about Metal Gear on this website.
It's not enough. It really isn't.
Should we move on to emails?
Sure.
This is